This video explains how to request for inventory. In order to request for inventory, you have to make a purchase order. A purchase order essentially is a request from another location or another laboratory for inventory. We're on the Odoo dashboard. Of course, we have to be logged in before we get here. And we can see all the icons, the different applications that typify the different things we can do on Odoo. So in order to make a request for inventory, we have to make a purchase order. And in order to make a purchase order, we have to come under purchases and click the purchase icon. Once we click that, we're taken to the purchases dashboard where there are a couple of things displayed on the screen. Of course, what's important is to look at the top menu because that provides the functionality and the features we can use to make purchases and control our purchases. So under purchase, you can see request for quotation, purchase orders, vendors, products, and then you can see control. Most of what you will do will be under purchase. So I'll just take a minute to explain the different options under purchases. So under purchase, you can see four options. First is request for quotation. A request for quotation is essentially a document you send to a vendor asking him for a quotation for different products. A purchase order is more like an advanced request for quotation. Basically, you are giving a vendor, you're explaining to a vendor that you require this particular product and you're placing a purchase for them. And of course, you see this link for vendors here. What it does is to allow you to look at all the vendors on your system and create more vendors or remove vendors from the system. And then of course you have products, so you can also add products and edit product information from this particular link. But we're concerned about requesting for inventory, so we come to this particular option and click purchase orders. So when we do that, we see a list of all the purchase orders we have created previously on the system. And to make a new request for inventory, we click the create button. When we do that, we're taken to a particular form or a page where we can make a new request. And then of course, the most important thing to do is to select the vendor. So I'm just going to come here and select Dr. Jesse and then provide a vendor reference and begin to select the products we want and the quantities of those products that we want. Now, if you do not provide a vendor reference, Odoo will generate a vendor reference for you. In fact, I recommend you don't provide a reference so that Odoo generates one for you. But what's important is to select each of the products that you request and provide their quantities. So under products, I would click on the add an item and select a particular product. Let's say I want 2 ml syringe. I want 20 of that. These basically are the two fields I need to provide on the form for any product I want. I need to select the product and I need to specify the quantity. So I come here and add another item. Maybe I want 5 ml syringe. I want 50 of that. And then I can go on for each product. I want agarose agar. I want 100 of that. And I put that there. So once I am done inputting all the products I want and the quantities, I can scroll up and I can do a couple of things. I can send RFQ by email or print the RFQ out. And this would send the RFQ to the vendor. I recommend for the now because the print functionality is not working as it should, that on your keyboard you press the Ctrl P button, and what happens is you can print out this purchase order. So you can come to the left hand side of your screen and you can see different options to print. You can come and click on change and you can see different options: Microsoft Print to PDF, fax, Microsoft XPS, document printer, a lot of options. And what the option we will select is to save as PDF. And then once we click save, it asks us where we want to set to save the document to. So probably want to save it to our desktop. We can call it purchase order 1111 and save it there. So once that is done, the next step we need to do will be to send the RFQ by email. So when we click that, what happens is we see an interface here that enables us to send an email to our particular vendor with the purchase order explaining the products that we want and the respective quantities that we want. Okay, so once that loading screen disappears, we can type an email out, and for example, I could say, "Good morning, Dr. Ajose. Please find attached a purchase order for products urgently required at our lab." And then we can add Dr. Joseph's email address and attach a file. We can look at the purchase order that we created the other time, attach it, and then we can click on send. So once we do this, our purchase order, which is essentially a request for inventory, will be mailed to the vendor. In this case, the vendor is Dr. Joseph. Once that is done, it's important that we click the confirm order button. So once we do that, the first part of requesting for inventory has been accomplished. Please take note of the reference code here. You can see it's PO, standing for purchase order 14. And this is important. Now, for the second part of processing a purchase order, it's important to know that due to logistic reasons, when you request, the day you request for inventory is usually not the day you will receive it. So you may have logged out of Odoo. In fact, I'm going to go back to the dashboard. You may have logged out of Odoo, and then maybe a day later, 2 days later, a week later, your inventory arrives. So once your inventory arrives, you need to receive the inventory and adjust the quantity of what you receive, because most of the time it's not the quantities that you request that you would actually receive. So in order to process the inventory that has come in, that you have received from making your purchase order, of course, you go back to purchases. Under the purchase icon, you go back to purchase orders. Now you can see that the last purchase order that you made was PO00014 or 14. So we can click on that and we can see the green button here telling us to receive those products. Now it's assumed that you are doing this because the products you requested have actually been delivered to your laboratory. And then you come under products and click on receive products. Now, this is the inventory adjustment form. You can see that you requested for 2 ml syringe, you requested for 20 of that. For 5 ml syringe, you can see you requested for 50 of that. And for agarose agar, you requested for 100. Now, you may not receive exactly these amounts that you requested for. In order to make adjustments, you will need to click the modified icon, which is essentially this pencil icon here. So if I click on that, it gives me an interface where I can specify just how many I received. It's showing over 20/20, showing I requested for 20, but I need to put the correct number I received here. So if I receive 10, I'll have to input 10 there and click on save. And you can see it reflects here 10. And I go to the next item. I requested for 50 5 ml syringe. If I received 40, I'll have to put 40 there and click on save. And then for agarose agar, I requested for 100. If I received 100, and then I need to come and enter, I received 100, and I click on save. So after I have done with all the adjustments, I can click the validate button. So once I click the validate button, Odoo notices that I did not get the exact quantity of items I ordered for, and it asks me if I need to create a back order. Most of the time, or virtually all of the time, this will not be necessary because you only get the quantities that are available from your vendor. So the vendor says, I only have 5 now. That's what you have to do it. So most of the time, you will not be required to create any back order. If you choose to create a back order, what happens is that Odoo creates for you automatically a new purchase order for containing the quantities and the products that are left out, that were not supplied. So for example, we asked for 55 ml syringes, but we got 40. So if I create the back order button, if I click the back order button, what Odoo does is to create a new back order with 10 5 ml syringe, the 10 that were not supplied. And also the back order will also include 10 2 ml syringe because those were not provided. We asked for 20, we got only 10. So if I create a back order, click the back order button to create a new purchase order with the remaining quantities that we were not provided with. But in this instance, I'm going to click no back order. And once I do that, my purchase order is complete. So what happens is these items that I received will be automatically added to my inventory. So if I check my inventory quantity, I'll see that my 2 ml syringe quantity has increased by 10, my 5 ml syringe quantity has increased by 40, and my agarose agar has increased by 100. That is essentially how to request for inventory and update your inventory levels.